Hello everyone. In this session, I would like to discuss about the class and object in Python. How to create a class. For that class, how we can create an object and how I can get the services from this particular class. These things I want to discuss as part of this session. So let's go with how we can create a class. Okay, the syntax I want. Before that, why we go for class means very simple. If you want to represent, if you want to tell something about one particular, for example, I want to tell something about a player. My player runs, his test runs is like 15,000. His one day runs is like 20,000 runs. His total runs, his total runs means he has to find the sum of these test runs and one day runs. That means I need the functionality to find the sum of these two variables. So that can I write a function? Can I write a function? So my total runs, I can say my test runs plus one day runs. If you observe, I want to tell something about the player. I want to tell something about a particle. Okay, then you can say something about the particle in the form of variables. On the variables, if you want to perform some operation like this, some methods are required or not. Now, now keep all these things inside one class called as a player. Now you can define my class is a collection of variables and methods or not. You can write any number of variables. On the variables, you can perform any type of operations based on your requirement or not. So you can define the class like my class is a collection of variables and methods. How many variables you can? Any number of variables you can write. How many methods you can write? Any number of methods you can write. But if you write the class is nothing but just you return some piece of code, that's it. If you want to get the services is nothing but, hey, how many one day runs for this particular player, how many test runs for this particular player, how many total runs for this particular player. If you want to get the services from this particular class, then that time you should have to create an object for this particular class and get the services from this particular class. So let's start with syntactically. Okay, how my class is looks like means this is my class. Okay, can we execute this particular piece of code in Python? So let me open Visual Studio Code. Let me open Visual Studio Code. Okay, here there has multiple Python programs I written for the previous videos. Let's create one more. My class.py. Now what is my class here? My class is name is like a player. Here it has some variables are there. It has some variables. How many variables are there? Two variables are there. Okay, syntactically, okay, different types of variables are there. Okay, let me write. This is my class. This is my class. My class is a collection of variables and methods. How many types of variables are there means how many types of variables are there means my variable may be local variables, maybe those are like instance variables, maybe those are like static variables. These all things will discuss, don't worry about that one. My methods also different types of methods are there. One is like instance method, maybe that method is like a static method, maybe that method is like a class method also. These are all things we are going to discuss. Okay, few of the things we are going to discuss in this session. In the next session, okay, different oops concepts we are going to discuss, right? So that in that we are going to cover all these things. Don't worry about that one. Somewhere we are going to cover all these things. So you can define a class. Class is a collection of variables as well as methods. Perfect. Come here. This is my class. I want to create a variable. I want to create a variable. If you want to create a variable, how many types of variables are there? Local, instance, and static. Okay, I want to create an instance variable. If you want to create an instance variable inside the class, that variables we are going to declare inside a constructor. Inside a constructor. Why we go for constructor means to perform the initialization operation for my instance variables. So my class contains multiple variables and methods. That variables may be three types. One is like local, instance, and static. Okay, to declare the instance variables, okay, where we can declare means inside the constructor. So where we can write the constructor means, okay, inside the class itself. How we can write the constructor means my constructor itself is a method. My constructor has a standard name. It's like underscore underscore init is my constructor name. And then you can write the colon. You can follow the function syntax, method syntax. Here you can declare the variables. Okay, what are the variables? My test runs is like 1500 or 15,000. My 1 day runs is like, my 1 day runs is like, okay, 1 day. 1 day runs is like 20,000 and test runs is like 15,000. Done. You created each type of variables, instance variables. Instance variables. Okay, what is instance variable? What is static variable? What is local variable? What are the differences? We'll discuss. We'll discuss. Don't worry about that. Okay, you created a variables. The next one is what? On variables, if you want to perform some operation, you can create a method. So my definition: total runs. Total runs. So here I need these test runs and 1 day runs. I need to find the sum. So how we can find the sum? You can return the result. My test runs plus 1 day runs. See, you created a variables inside a function called as a init. Okay, init. You can say like a constructor. The scope is like inside this method only. But if you share these instance variables across your class, okay, how it is shareable? How it is shareable means by using my current class object. So by default, in your class, how many methods are there? How many methods are there? By default, my current class object is available to that particular methods as a first argument. Okay, that means while using these methods, okay, default one argument they are going to pass. That argument is like what? Current class object. Okay, that current class object we can use to call your variables. Call your variables like this. To call your variables. If this current class object is not there, then the type how we can get the data from init method to my total runs method? No, we can't. So if you want to share the data across the class, okay, how it's possible means by using class level object only. How my class level object is available to all my methods inside the class means by default that one pass as a first argument. That one pass as a first argument. That one pass as a first argument. You can put any name, but proper name I want. Okay, standard name I want. That's the reason I want to use like self. Okay, now you can define my class is a collection of variables as well as methods or not. Okay, here I written like only one method. Like this, you can write any number of methods. Okay, so let's run this one. Syntactical any issues are there or not? Just check it. Okay, by player. Okay, class right. Class dot view. Okay, just wait. It is running. There is no issues, nothing. There is no issues, as well as I didn't get any output also. So I already told you, creating a class is nothing but just it's a matter of writing some statements. If you want to get the services from the class, how I can get the services from the class means by creating an object for that particular class. So here, what is my class name? Player is my class name. So that you can create an object for this particular player class like this. This is the syntax. Once my player object created, it returns me an object, right? Can we hold with one variable like this? So my object creation syntax is looks like this. So can we create an object for which class? Player class. Once you created an object for this particular class, you can access any one of the member. Member is nothing but you can access the variables as well as you can access the methods also. Methods also. Now can we run it? Syntactically, there is no issues. No, yes, you created one object. Can you print that object, what it contains? Print obj. If you observe here, it's like a player object or not? Player class object or not? Okay, can you see the type of this object? How it looks like this object type I want. Okay, now come here. Okay, let's see this. This is an object of which type? My player class type or not? It is an object of which type? My player class type or not? Player class type or not? So once you have an object, can we get the data? That means can we get the services from this particular object? So inside this object, all my class members are there. Can we call my total runs? Or can we call my test runs? Once you call my test runs, can we print it by using print statement? Okay, now come here. Now say this. Player object has no attribute like test. Okay, now come here. One day. Okay, player object has no no attribute of one day. Why? Because if you created this one like a instance variable, if you want to share with some other person, first of all, that variables you have to keep like, okay, keep inside the self, but you didn't keep inside the self. That means my init is a method. These all are acting like a local variables or not. If you want to share across, okay, methods inside the class, can we keep these variables inside the self object? Inside the self object, in the past, this syntax is like what? This is like a local variables. We are not able to share from here to some other, so that you can get the error like this. Player object has no attribute of one day. Player object is not attribute of test. If you want to share it, share to outside, okay, then can we keep those variables inside my object, my current object? My current object is nothing but what? Player object. Player object is nothing but internally it refers to my obj only or not. Now it should work. Yes, see this. Okay, this is the way you can create an instance variable or not. Once you keep some data inside myself not only here also available, right? So anyone can access from anywhere or not who has self. Now here, can we print obj dot total runs? Can we call it? If you come here, now print spelling mistake, don't worry. Now say this. 35 runs we can get it or not. So this is the way we can create a class. Okay, this is the way we can create an instance variable. Okay, if the self is not there, then the term it's like a local variable, static variable, we'll talk later. Local variable. This is the method inside the class. Okay, any method you can take. Init also method, this is also method. By default, my first argument is like what? Self. It's a current object. It's a representation of what? Current object or not. Now, at the time of executing line number 9, okay, that means once my object created, inside this player class, which method is going to execute means my constructor will execute. Constructor will execute. Now, if you observe here, see this. If you create an object, my constructor called or not. Whenever my constructor called, that time, if your class is having any instance variables, that variables got initialized by allocating the memory, So why we go for constructor means to perform initialization for this particular instance members or not. To perform initialization for this particular instance members or not. That is the one. So my constructor, when it is going to execute, at the time of creating an object, my constructor will execute. What my constructor is going to do? It is going to allocate the memory for which variables? Instance variables by its perform initialization by allocating the memory for this particular test and one day variables or not. Once it is initialized, okay, inside this object, you can use that particular variables wherever you want inside any other methods also or not. So this is the way we can create a class, and this is the way we can create an object, and this is the way we can use, okay, that means we can get the services from the class using an object or not. We can call test, we can call one day, we can call total runs. Total. Okay, here this is the variable, this is the variable, this is the method, so that I call. Keep all the things inside one function for what? For printing purpose. That's it. Okay, keep this one, keep this one also. Okay, close it. Done. The next one. In the next coming video, I would like to discuss about the instance variables and static variables differences. The next one, the instance method, static method, and class method differences will see. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for watching.